ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the Joe Light Show.
Performers, the big guys from Pittsburgh didn't really get you much if you wanted to lean heavy on them last week. What else? Jordan Howard really didn't get you too many points if you were leaning that way, which I did a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But I also got the Robert Woods play, which is, he's one of the players who I think overachieved. So there's going to be some guys that are played heavy this week, but, it's just pretty much because of last week. Robert Woods will probably be in a lot of lineups this week with an unfavorable matchup. He is playing really well regardless, but I think there's better value at that position for what you have matchup wise. Now, there was some overachievers last week, Woods being one of them. Obviously, Austin Eckler, everybody is on him like he's gonna steal every carry from Melvin Gordon. I just ain't buying it yet. I have to see it more than 1 week. But I'm in favor of playing Austin Eckler on a cheaper scale this week. But I'm really heavy on Melvin Gordon. If you watched any football last week, you've seen what happened in the Buffalo game. New Orleans ran up all over them guys. So I'm looking for a repeat this week with San Diego's running back tandem. So let's get right into it. Guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go position by position. I'm going to give you my picks. This isn't a guarantee you're going to hit big. I'm just saying these are the people that I would lean towards on my teams personally and people I wouldn't really lean towards. All right, so what I like to do typically at the quarterback position, I like to spend down a little bit because the value isn't too much different between the top and the middle tier. So I'd rather spend less money and save so I could pay up for those explosive running backs and wide receivers, and actually this week, tight ends, guys. There's some good matchups at the tight end position. We'll get into that in a little bit. But my primary pick at the quarterback position is going to be Blake Bortles at Cleveland, 24th ranked against the pass at 5.2K. Now, Bortles typically isn't going to give you a 3-touchdown, 300-yard performance, but this week I see it as very viable, and I'm riding that bandwagon right there. Next, you're going to look at me like I'm crazy, but he does give you value in the fantasy world. Draftkings, he puts up some decent numbers. Jay Cutler versus Tampa Bay this week at home. Tampa Bay couldn't stop my mother, who has bad knees, from going for 100 yards. Now, he's also, he's got a really good wide receiver tandem. He's at 5.4K. So, it's an enticing matchup. 26th ranked defense. I like Cutler in that matchup. Maybe not to win the game, but definitely to provide some value on your DraftKings lineup for, on the cheap, pretty much. Also, another guy I like who I would never take as my actual quarterback in real life, Eli Manning. He is at home going up against Kansas City at 5.7K. Kansas City is 30th against the pass. So I like Eli this week. I might be leaning on him for a couple of my teams. Now, honestly, I think Eli's going to have to throw close to 40, 50 times for them to even be close in this game. Obviously, that's a great stack with Shepard. I like Ingram, but I don't like Ingram for this week because there's a lot more value at that position for a little bit cheaper. Now, also, if you're going to pay up, I would have to say go with Carr against New England, 32nd ranked passing defense, 6.4K, which is, for what you might get out of him, I think he's good for a really good week, a good 400-yard week or 4-touchdown week. I see them putting up 28 points at least against this New England defense. That's not really anything to write home about, guys. Now, also, I like Goff. Goff at Minnesota, 13th ranked defense, kind of middle of the pack. Not too good, not too bad. 6.5K. He has a lot of upside. He has a decent amount of weapons over there, kind of sneaky. But he has the weapons. I'm not big on Drew Brees, guys. One guy I am not paying up for is Drew Brees. I'm sorry, I thought I'd never say this, but they just too heavy on the run nowadays. So I don't trust him to put up the numbers that you would expect somebody at 6,800 to give you. So I'm gonna steer clear of that. I mean, if you want to pay up, maybe Carson Wentz will get you something. You don't really go too heavy on the yardage typically, but he is solid and he don't turn the ball over. Now let's move on to the running back position. A lot of people are saying let's steer away from Melvin Gordon because Austin Eckler is the new rave, but I really disagree. Melvin Gordon is Melvin Gordon. He is one of the best running backs in this league. Regardless, he's going up against Buffalo, and we saw them get shredded last week. 31st ranked defense at 7.6K. What I want to do this week, I'm going to take Melvin Gordon, and I'm going to complement him at my number 2 running back position with Rex Burkhead. Sorry, guys. Rex Burkhead. I haven't had this guy in my lineup, obviously, a lot. So, as you can tell. He is at 3.6K at Oakland, 29th ranked defense, which he's going to give you a good 15, 16 points, I would assume. I'm guessing he's going to get at least 3 or 4 catches out of the backfield or little dink and dunk passes. Also, he could give you a good 50 yards. Maybe he could get one in the end zone. I don't know. I just like this slot for him because it's going to be a lot of yardage put up in that game. I like a lot of the Oakland New England game. So, but we're going to be getting into that a little bit more. Yeah. So Kareem Hunt, very good matchup today. I mean this week. Sorry guys, I'm all over the place right now. Kareem Hunt, very athletic guy. The Giants have a lot of trouble when it comes to stopping those athletic schoolyard style backs. And I think this is just a really good fit for Kareem Hunt. Also, I know Ingram made a gigantic splash last week with his 3 touchdowns, and he's up at, I believe, 8,100 this week. But to be honest, I think this is a better spot for Kamara. Kamara versus Washington over Ingram, I'd take. I just feel like the game script is favoring Kamara a little bit better. There's going to be a lot more through the air than the ground and pound. So, I do expect Ingram to obviously get his numbers. Ingram's going to get his numbers every week. It don't really matter who they play. But Kamara, I think this is a better chance for him to put up those numbers that excel his value, which is pretty high anyway. So I think he's really in a good spot this week. I touched on Rex Burkhead. I really like the idea of pairing Burkhead with a really top-level running back. Like one of my teams it's not the one I'm going to get into in a little bit, but I decided to pair Le'Veon Bell, who will be in a prime time spot this Thursday, and Le'Veon Bell and Rex Burkhead. I just the contrast in price, it allows me a little bit more wiggle room at the wide receiver position. Also, like, it's never a bad thing to have Le'Veon Bell, because no matter the matchup, he's going to get his 25 touches regardless. And, you know, he's one of those home run guys. Anytime he touches the ball, it could be to the house. But moving on, I do not like Orleans Darkwa. I just don't like the spot for him this week. They're facing a number 5 rush defense in Kansas City. And beside the fact, he kind of, last week it was running back by committee, so I'm not really sold on him anyway, but I really don't like this spot for him. And I know a lot of people recently have been, you know, taking him, and I really just don't like the Darkwa play this week. But I'll tell you who I do like. I like LaShawn McCoy this week. Going up against the 20th ranked Chargers defense. Past couple weeks hasn't been Shady's week, but I think he's going to really bounce back in a strong way this week. The Bills, from what I read maybe about an hour or two ago, they're going to be sitting Tyrod Taylor, so that means they're probably going to be leaning on McCoy a little bit heavier than usual, and McCoy's workload is already it's huge. So that's pretty much my running back picks. I would advise matching up Burkhead or maybe even a Dion Lewis. I really like the those shifty backs in the New England lineup this week. Pair them guys up with some of the top of the list guys. Kareem Hunt is probably going to go OFF this week. Also Gordon. And, you know, I know it's easy to say Le'Veon Bell because he's the best player in the league, you know, with argument there, but I really think he is. Also, moving on to wide receiver. Let's see. My pick, number 1 pick this week, is going to have to be Sterling Shepard. He's probably going to see, I don't know, 5,000 targets this week. They're playing KC. They're probably going to be behind all day. Eli Manning has nobody else except for Ingram, who will also get a decent share, you know, of the workload at the receiving positions. But I think Shepard's a better play. I think he'll get more targets. And I just like the matchup for him overall. I mean, no matter who he's playing, he's going to, from here on out, he'll probably be getting around 15 targets a game, which I can't turn that down. I'm sorry. At 6.3K, I'll take that any day. Now, also, another guy I love this week is Larry Fitzgerald. 6.9K at Houston, 29th ranked against the wide receiver position. And Fitzgerald, I mean, the quarterback, Blaine Gabbert this week, I believe. Not too good, not too bad. I mean, I really just think they're going to pepper Fitzgerald because that's the smart thing to do. If I was coaching the Cardinals, I would just drop the ball on Fitzgerald all day. Moving on, I like Amari Cooper. They are in New England. No, they're at home against New England. Sorry about that. 6K, 31st ranked defense. I really, really like the spot for Cooper. I mean, you could argue either way, Cooper or Crabtree, but I just like the matchup that this presents for Cooper this week. He's just an animal. He's like one of those freak of nature type players. When he gets going, it's really hard to stop. And I think this week is going to be a big week in that game. I would even say if you wanted, you could take Crabtree as well. But I'm leaning more towards Cooper. I think he's due for another one of those monster games. And New England defense, they've been improved a little bit recently, but I mean, anybody who plays the Denver Broncos offense will probably improve a little bit, possibly. But yeah, I really don't have anybody I personally think that could match up with Amari Cooper. Also, we got Parker and Landry, the two Dolphin guys, who Parker 6.5K, Landry 6.4K versus Tampa's 30 ranked defense. Either one of those guys are in play. I personally like Landry a little more. Might get a little more yak after the case. And he's more of a red zone target than Parker has been recently. I'd take Landry for $100 less, but you really can't go wrong either way. Mike Evans coming back. He's sitting pretty at the top of the list, guys. 7.9K. Now, I'm a little biased with this because last week I took Fitzpatrick, whatever the hell, and he sucked. Guys, if you want to take Mike Evans, take Mike Evans. Don't take Fitzpatrick, because he did me a little dirty last week, not going to lie. Maybe that's just me going against my head and going with my heart, because I thought, he got let go by the Jets. He's going to come out firing. He gets decent fantasy points when he's in. Not so much this time. Now let's see. Another guy I really like this week is Tyreek Hill going up against the Giants. I like anybody going up against the Giants, let's be honest. But Tyreek Hill is very fast, shifty receiver, deep threat anytime he's on the field. And the Giants, they are very porous at the pass catching positions. No, pass defending. Sorry. Now, yeah, Marquise Lee as well at 5.5K. Going up against Cleveland, I really like Marquise Lee right here. Cleveland, they'll stop the run on you, but you can pass all day on them. Let's be honest. Another guy I don't like his matchup, but I like the fact that he's going to get targeted every time, is DeAndre Hopkins. 23rd defense they face. He's only 6,100, so he's definitely somebody that's in play, regardless of the Patrick Peterson matchups. But to be honest, if I'm going to pay for Hopkins, I might as well go up a little bit, $200 and grab Shepard. Now let's move on to the tight end position, guys. This week there's tons of value at the tight end position, and a couple of guys that are pretty cheap, honestly. You could really make some steals at the tight end position. I mean, obviously we have Travis Kelce, 7,200 against the Giants, 32nd against the tight end. This is just a matchup nightmare for the Giants. I see Kelce going off for at least 22 Draftkings points this week. Then we have Mercedes Lewis, who, honestly, guys, I'm really, really, really looking to stack tight ends this week. You could stack Mercedes Lewis, Blake Bortles, and Travis Kelce and come out looking like a genius, possibly. I know a lot of people are looking at me with the Blake Bortles pick like he might be crazy because he don't really get much, but this week he gets much. Then you also have Tyler Kroft, Cincinnati's guy. He's up against the 31st ranked defense against the tight end, which is Denver. Not much better than the Giants, let's be honest. So Mercedes Lewis against the 30th ranked against tight ends. Kelce 32nd against tight ends. Kroft 31st. Then we also have Gronk at 7.2K against Oakland and their 27th ranked defense, which there's value everywhere this week at tight end. Jared Cook, 26th defense of New England at 4.8K, which is more of a pick for me. I might take Jared Cook before I took Gronk, believe it or not. Just matchup-wise, money-wise, he's going to get a good amount of targets because they're going to be putting up a lot of points and yards just to keep in the game with Brady and company. Now, some defenses I like. I like Arizona at Houston. 3.2K, 25th ranked Houston offense. And they have just been struggling recently. They lost to Deshaun Watson. Fuller's out this week. They just, they got an uphill battle this week, let's be honest. And that Arizona defense, they could create turnovers. They get sacks. You hit a quarterback enough, he'll fumble the ball too. But also the Bengals at Denver, $3,000, 27th ranked Denver offense. I could get a few of my friends and probably go out and we'd wax Denver. They are not very good on offense, let's be honest. Osweiler's a little bit of a step up at quarterback from Simeon, but you really ain't getting away with that. We have the Lions defense, 3,600 against Chicago, 24th ranked offense. I like the Lions, even though they're at Chicago. It's going to be cold. It's going to be one of those weather games, so I think it'll be low-scoring affair. Lions ain't really that great away from the dome, so I see this being a low-scoring affair. But either way, Chicago, really not much offense going on in Chicago, guys. Hate to break it to you. Also, sleeper pick, I like the Rams defense at Minnesota, Minnesota, 4th ranked offense, could put up some points, put up some numbers, but they could also drop the ball and put up some turnovers. And at 2,400, the Rams could be a decent little sleeper pick on defense. Now, guys, I have 2 more segments left. One will be my picks for the week. I'm going with the Vegas line, and I'm giving you all my picks. I'm not saying to take them. I'm not saying it's going to do anything for you, but these are my picks. And I also picked a fantasy team, a Draftkings team for this week, which is pretty much just like a little bit of a mock draft that I did just to give you an idea of what I'm looking at this week. So we'll start off with my picks every game. I like Tennessee getting 7 points at Pittsburgh. I really don't think that game is going to be a blowout or anything. I don't like Tennessee to win, but I like them to cover 7 points, that's for sure. We have Detroit giving 3 at Chicago. I really think they'll cover that. I think it'll be an ugly one. It'll be like a 12-6, but maybe a 17-10, something boring. We also have Kansas City giving 10.5 away with the Giants. It's a big spread, 10.5, but I see it being a 31-10 game possibly. And Kansas City kind of just putting the beats on the Giants. I wouldn't be so surprised if Eli threw for 50 points just so they ain't down 24. But let's move on. Tampa Bay getting 2.5 from Miami. I like Tampa Bay outright in this game, honestly. It's a bum fight, let's be honest. We got 2 teams that really nothing to write home about. Nobody's excited about either one of these teams. But I like Tampa Bay, I guess. You got to pick one of them, right? Now, Green Bay giving 2 to Baltimore at home. I like Green Bay. Baltimore's offense is, I don't know, it's just always struggling, it seems like. Their defense, don't get me wrong, is stellar defensive play. But their offense just ain't going to get them any points. They're going to have to rely on turnovers and possible defensive touchdowns. I really don't. I don't like the Baltimore spot there, so I'm going Green Bay, giving 2. I like the Rams, giving 2.5 at Minnesota. That's kind of an upset pick, but I like the Rams. They're potent offense. Defense can cause a little bit of havoc for you. And Minnesota, I don't know, they're very worthy opponents, so this is going to be a good game to watch. But I'm taking the Rams. Arizona, they are getting 1.5 at Houston, which I think is kind of a little crazy. I like Arizona outright in this one. Also, Jacksonville, I like them to cover the 7-point spread against Cleveland, in Cleveland. Really, Jacksonville's defense is really good, and I really don't see Cleveland stopping their offense, which, I have a lot of their guys, this week. So, moving on, New Orleans, giving 8.5 to Washington at home. This could be a dangerous pick, but I'm going to go with New Orleans. I'm actually taking Buffalo to cover the 4.5 against the Chargers. I think the Chargers will win by 3. It's going to be, probably a low-scoring affair, but I like Buffalo to cover, I guess. Cincinnati getting 2.5 at Denver. Denver really just past few weeks they've been lost. Cincinnati not so great either. I am not an Andy Dalton fan at all. But for some reason, I have a feeling they find a way to piece it together, and they're getting 2.5 points, so I take them. New England giving 6.5 to Oakland in Mexico. I like New England. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I'll give you a 35-28 prediction for New England to cover that 6.5 against Oakland, but this is a game to ride to get a lot of those fantasy points. Then we have Philadelphia-Dallas in the primetime slot. I like Philly. I don't know anybody who doesn't, unless you're playing on the Cowboys. And Philly's giving 3 points, so I expect them to cover by at least 3, probably 7. Atlanta, Monday night, giving 3 at Seattle. I know, I sound crazy right now because Seattle looked damn good. Atlanta looked really good too. I'm just going with Atlanta. I feel like they just have a little bit more firepower on offense. A little bit more, not much. And you could pick on the secondary a little bit, believe it or not. There's a lot of guys that aren't, suiting up for Seattle. Obviously, Richard Sherman for the year, which is unfortunate because he is one of the best players in the league, week in, week out, year in, year out. And, it sucks to see a guy like that go down. But the world goes on. What are you going to do? I'm a Green Bay fan. We lost Aaron Rodgers for the year, so I don't feel bad for anybody. Now, we're moving on to my team that I picked. Maybe you could take it, it's a little guideline how to pick yours. I have Blake Bortles, 5.2K at my quarterback position. I like his matchup. I like the fact that he's going to throw a lot because, the run might be stuffed a little bit. So I see him throwing the ball a lot. Now moving on to running back, 7,600 for Melvin Gordon. Guys, Melvin Gordon is going to go off this week. The Buffalo Bills, they tackle like turnstiles for the subway, and it's just really lackluster defense the past few weeks. Matt Forte looked like Matt Forte in 2011, and it's just not what he is anymore. I seen what happened last week. I almost, I felt bad for them. So this week I'm going Gordon. Then I'm also going Rex Burkhead. He's going to get you 17 fantasy points this week, guys. Draftkings, he will definitely be getting some numbers. I believe he's going to get the same workload, if not a little bit more, this week as he did last week, and I'll hang my hat on a good 15, 17 point performance from him. Now, wide receivers, I like Larry Fitzgerald at 6,900. Tyreek Hill, I said this earlier, you go against the Giants, I'm probably going to pick you. I'm not being biased. I'm actually from New Jersey, so... but yeah, Tyreek Hill at 7,100, and Sterling Shepard is going to be eating up targets this week. So those are my receivers. Fitz, Hill, Shepard, 69K, 7.1K, 6.3K, which I think is a very low number for Shepard. And like I said earlier, guys, my tight end, I'm going to stack it. Let's stack Tyler Croft, 2.9K against a porous defense. And of course, Travis Kelce. I would feel stupid if I didn't take Travis Kelce and he went off for 28, 30 points. I would be telling myself I told myself so. All right, so there you have it, guys. Those are my picks for the week. Feel free to subscribe down below. Like, comment, whatever the case is, I will try to reach back to you. You could reach out to me at the Joe Light Show, gmail.com, also on Twitter at the Joe Light Show. Thank you, guys. I will be uploading weekly, so hope to hear from you guys soon, and hope you get some use out of this. Thank you, guys. Take care.